Dear.
So good, man. Dennis, it's so good to be back with you, brother. It's been a while since we had this kind of conversation, but today's a really exciting one because we're going to open up the chat around a very exciting little expedition that you're going to be heading on. You know, there's a lot of word out there right now about the Great Reset,
Yeah, it's
the
all
World
fun.
Economic Forum. But yeah, mate, it's great to see you looking handsome as ever, as always. But I'm excited for this conversation with you.
Fantastic. Good to see you too. There's a little bit of a lag my side every so often. So if I'm talking over you, just bear with me.
Yeah, no worries, man. So I think today is going to be a really, really great conversation because we're talking about the journey that you're about to head on with Anarchapulco. And if you don't know what that is, that's okay. We'll tell you about what it is in a moment. And this is ultimately the great resist towards the World Economic Forum's Great Reset. And if you don't know who the World Economic Forum is or what the Great Reset is, that's okay. We're going to show you a short clip in a moment. But before we get into that and the focus of our convo, particularly Dennis, with you heading overseas to embark on this new adventure and what the kind of main intention will be with that, let's just hear a little bit more about what you've been up to in Cairns, because I mean, the Awakening in Health channel on YouTube's grown immensely. Telegram groups, just building a nice cultivated community there of people who are like-minded and on the same page and really wanting to serve humanity by sharing important information and also by, you know, offering your time, services and skills to be able to help people with their health and overcome some huge challenges. So tell us a little bit, Mel, with what's been happening with the Awakening in Health, mate.
Yeah, it's been a fairly interesting journey, and it's, I think when we're doing the kind of work we do, there's a requirement that we're always, to a fair extent, walking the walk. And yeah, part of things, some of the things that I teach are about maybe connecting more with just being a little bit more virtuous and just trying to do the right thing, especially with all this crazy stuff that's going on in the world. So when you're putting yourself in those positions, interesting, energetic things start to happen. So, you know, I was doing a fair bit of, I guess, stillness and kind of contemplating, and all of a sudden I've aligned with an ex-colleague of mine, in fact, who is a nurse who's got just these amazing skills. And in very quick time, we just decided we're going to get a local clinic up here. So we now have our Awakening in Health clinic where we're seeing clients. We've actually got a few bioresonance machines up here as well. Things like Rife machines. We got a scaler. We got a thing called a Lakowski machine. And these look at your I guess, readjusting your energy flow. But the main focus of what I do, as you know, is more of that cognitive behavioral therapy, about trying to get people to change from a state of not being so well to being more well. And that obviously, and my focus, again, some people who know what I do, is very much around, if it's depression and anxiety, for example, you should never be focusing on depression and anxiety. It's invariably a symptom of something else. Your stomach, your gut drives everything. And this is my bugbear about how the system is set up, that if you've got a thyroid problem, they look at that. If you've got a mental problem, they look at that. If you got a gut problem, we can't do this. We can't have this separation any longer. People are staying sick. We need to look at absolutely every part. And when you do that, I mean, some of the stories, even just already from our clinic being opened in such a short amount of time, are quite incredible. And it's not me being amazing. I'm standing on the shoulders of huge leaders. I'm standing who I've been privileged to be able to find that information and now deliver it from other people. And it's just always fascinating for me to see how what should be basic information is just hidden. People don't know it. And then when you deliver that information and open it up, people can make just these wonderful strides in their health.
Yeah, it's so true, man. And I love how you've really been pioneering this vocal space in North Queensland, particularly at the local, common law meetings, presenting, hard evidence and facts, our recent history, particularly around health and the money trail, following, who's funding what research or who's suppressing certain research. And that kind of leads us to where we are today with the World Economic Forum, the WEF. If you don't know who they are, just simply go to Google and type it in. With the Davos meeting, it's been getting a lot of coverage in the independent media space. If you're in that space, if you're not, I highly recommend all you need to do, simply go to Google, just like I have here, type in World Economic Forum and have a look. As you can see there, they've got an ad with Google, but this meeting here at Davos 2023 is happening currently right now. And I'm pretty certain that the likes of Google and these big tech companies are going to be there. So I'm curious if they're actually paying for this ad, or if they've got some negotiations happening under the table that we're unaware of. But what we do know for certain, this organization, this conglomerate of technocrats and bureaucrats and people who are ultimately unelected and position themselves here based on how much money they have in their back pockets, creating an agenda for the world. They are seemingly cooperating this global agenda for a fragmented world. And I just wanted to share a quick video on their recent advertisement on their YouTube channel, which was promoted 2 years in very strange synchronistic timing, as we all went through some troublesome time and volatile times where we were forced into staying at home and following certain protocols that were mandated for us. And so before I play this video, Dennis, you got any comments on this? What are your thoughts on the WEF? Do you love this organization or what?
I've got a few comments. I haven't seen the video, so I'm looking forward to seeing that for a start. But it seems to come up a fair bit, is this idea of conspiracy theorists. And I really want to cut that comment down every time I hear it. And the way I cut that down is if I hear somebody deliver that towards me, I say, okay, so do you trust the government? And if somebody says yes implicitly, I'm knocking a few IQ points off their score. If they say no, by default, they have to be a conspiracy theorist. So for me to be looking at something like Davos and the World Economic Forum, having this group of multi-billionaires and multi-millionaires behind closed doors discussing things that I'm not aware of, that by definition is a conspiracy. Two or more people talking in private and colluding. So the whole Davos World Economic Forum, is that a conspiracy that's happening right now? Absolutely, it is.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there, mate. So let's enjoy this little video and have a little watch of what they got planned for us, eh?
No.
Well, there you have it, folks. Great Reset, World Economic Forum. Dennis, what are your thoughts on that?
It's fairly bloody sinister, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think we got to take into consideration there is a lot happening on the planet right now in terms of artificial intelligence that's being developed at an extraordinary rate. I mean, some certain challenges that are happening, but my feeling is that this is a movement towards more centralized control from the top-down hierarchical system on a global level that all the plebs at the bottom must do as they're told and be servants and a slave to essentially the printed piece of paper in our back pockets. So that becomes troublesome when people become aware of that situation, that there seems to be less evidence to promote the fact that, is this really benefiting the people, or is it actually harming them? And if the last 2 years is anything to go by, it seems that the more focus and attention these 3-letter organizations get, the more suffering the people tend to be experiencing. So I think we're on the verge of something big happening, and I think the table's about to turn. And that's what I'd really like to focus this conversation on today, is a little bit on the journey that you've embarked on over the last number of years, and now you're really following through with attending probably one of the biggest resistant events in the world, happening very, very soon. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about that, Dennis.
Yeah, I kind of back myself into a corner a little bit. It's always a bit tough when you're starting a new business financially and whatnot. But I was just doing a little bit of meditation actually, and I'm aware of a fellow called Jeff Berwick for a few years. I've been following him, and he hosts this conference with lots of different speakers and very high profile ones in Mexico, Anarchapulco, and he's been doing that for a few years. And kind of in my musings, I was thinking, wow, wouldn't it be great to get there? And once that little kind of idea starts popping into your head, your first kind of thoughts are, oh, listen, it's not the best of timing, or I'm too busy, or I don't have the money, or I can't afford it. And the things I teach actually go quite the opposite of that. And if I was talking to somebody else in that position, I'd be saying, well, this could be a little bit of self-talk here, or is it something in your path that's in front of you that you might be maybe not acknowledging or not rising up to meet? And so I kind of, as I said, back myself into a little bit of a corner where my thoughts process about attending leave me in a position where I have no choice but to get there. So there's a few reasons why I think it could be quite inspiring, just mingling with people with that same energy. There may be opportunities to chat to some of the people who I've been following for a few years. Some great voices there, like Andrew Kaufman, who's done incredible work with over this last 2-3 year period. We've got Carrie Majay. We've got people like Max Eigen. I'm a huge fan of Max's. I think he calls it brilliantly. Larkin Rose has done some fantastic work. He's got a great book about how governments and policies work. A big hero of mine is Del Bigtree. The amount of work he's done in relation to making people aware of, I guess, pharmaceutical negligence has been absolutely huge. So with a bit of luck, I'd love to kind of say hello and give my thanks to some of these people. And it'd be fantastic, even as part of what we do, Shay, to get him on Earth Heroes and on my channel if we can as well. But regardless, even if that doesn't happen, just as I said, mingling in that energy of like-minded people who see the world for what it is and see the things that are going on, for me would be quite immense.
Mate, this is absolutely huge, really, when you start to look at the lineup of people who are supporting and backing and volunteering and showing up for this event. It seems that there's this groundswell that is really starting to pick up momentum, where the people who are at these positions of power and control in these unelected private companies are probably most likely shaken in their boots, because when we start to really see what the people are capable of when they work together and they cooperate, it's really quite remarkable. And just to be in a position where you can be in the presence of and be in support of just by sheerly showing up, it shows that there is a huge swell of people who are not just aware of what's going on, but actively through their life dedicating and devoting themselves to actually being a significant change maker in the journey of our evolution as a human species on this planet. And I think now is quite a critical time for that, because we are virtually on the verge of going one way or the other at this point. And all these people, including yourself, who are stepping up and being the voice for the people, It's honorable, and it's quite tremendous to see that, you know, this team is coming together to pull off this kind of event happening in Mexico. And just tell me a little bit more. Is that a bit of what's the journey like to get to Mexico for you right now?
Well, a little bit frustrating actually. So in ideal circumstances, it would be quite straightforward, but because of my position in relation to some experimental medical treatments, I have to avoid America. So that automatically pushes the cost of my travel. It doubles it. So it certainly does throw a spanner in the works with accessibility. But as we know, this is the kind of coercion that these places use, that these people use to try to, I think, depopulate us. And I'm going to be quite blunt about that. I think some of these medical procedures are a cynical attempt to cull the herd. There's too many of us, and you made some really nice points there. This thing happening in Davos at the moment is it's a blatant conspiracy. It's on the websites. It's being talked about. There's videos. Anybody who doesn't think that this is not actually going on, they need to take the blinkers off. It's happening right now. And as you said, we've got this counter push of other people starting to wake up. I went to a common law meeting last night. It was quite fantastic. But in Victoria, there is a little place called Frankston, and what some of the people have done there, they're absolutely sick of the local governance, and they are being supported by a lawyer called Spiros, from memory, who has helped them put their own council together. And it's actually fairly straightforward to do that. Any local area can do this, and I'm going to be involved in my local area up here, trying to look at something similar. And essentially, the alternative council. So when we think about our local councils, they're businesses, they're corporations. They're not here for us. They're here to take our money and to make money. And they're taking our rates and taking our energy through traffic fines, through costs, through putting them on junkets, sending them to different countries where they're feasting on wine and different sorts of food, and probably doing all sorts of devious stuff over there. That's coming from our money. So the idea with having a local council established is to have another business. So as opposed to me giving my rates to these fat people, greedy, horrible people who are, taking my abundance, it would give me a choice to pay somebody else at a far lesser cost to have the grass mowed, or to have a road filled in. And I mean, obviously it's a germinating idea, but it's a good representation of the fact that yes, we do have options. We're never going to realize those options if we're not talking, if we're not gathering in community. It's all sounds fanciful, but then when we are talking and gathering, we can see other people putting these things into play, and it's actually real. It's getting traction. In Frankston, these people have rocked up to their local council, and the local council address the private council, the mayor, as mayor, and he couldn't vote because he's a mayor of another council. So there's legitimacy to a lot of these ideas.
Yeah, mate, I definitely hear what you're saying, and I think you're definitely onto something here. So it seems just scrolling through their website and seeing what this event's all about, the caliber of speakers, presenters, artists, creatives, podcast hosts, yogis. I mean, it's such a diverse range of human beings who are all tuning into, this connection to something more than themselves. They're really showing up and speaking up to actually do this, like you are, Dennis, for humanity in a really positive way. And that's kind of restoring some sense of hope. And I'm sure this event's going to be massive for just a network opportunity to connect with people who are doing incredible things in their local regions. Now, great opportunity to share what's happening with Awakening and Health and Down Under here in Australia. It's a bit of a journey for you to get over there, but I think it's going to be well worth the trip. What do you reckon?
Absolutely, Ellie. I think it's you kind of every so often hear a little bit destiny calling, and as you know, I've when there's a few challenges, I like to think that I stand up and take them. I mean, I haven't been working at the mainstream health system for a good few years now because for obvious reasons. That was a fairly tough decision to make. But again, if we're acting out of integrity and if we're acting in bravery, which we all have to do, we have to make those tough calls. I mean, we can't be selling our souls, and this is how we've been trapped in this current situation that we're struggling with, is because, unfortunately, because of commitments and the way the structure of the system works, we have essentially had to do exactly that: sell our souls. Yeah. And again, so I'm as guilty as anybody else for doing that. So it's not about me putting myself on some pedestal and saying I'm holier than thou or I'm better. We have our commitments, we have our children, we have our bills to pay. So sometimes we are trapped in these ideas of choices. And in hindsight or retrospect, of course, we can make better choices. But at the time, we have to make the decisions that we think are best.
100%, mate. I think it's a big, bold, brave step to make, and you've definitely haven't been short of any of those 3 words in the last 24 months plus, with the work that you've been doing, the decisions that you've been making in your life. And ultimately, I recently read a blog on this and exploring what it takes to find that courage within, and also realize that we are not the victims of our circumstance, but we are instead the victors of our destiny, and we get to be empowered by making that decision on that internal switch within ourselves to create that change that we feel is necessary and relevant for not just ourselves, but actually for the destiny of the human species right now. Do we want to go again down that path of entrapment and enslavement to a global elite, or do we want to seek the path of freedom, transparency, local community networks, and true health and thrivality? And for me, that is where true wealth really comes from, in our innate relationships with those around us, in our relationship to ourselves and our health. And I think it's quite interesting times to be alive. Dennis, I'm really keen to follow this journey that you're on as you head on this expedition overseas. But are we going to have the chance to catch up while you're over there? We're going to do a live. I really want to stay up to date with how things are going.
Yeah, listen, that's quite an exciting idea. Yeah. Why not? I mean, we've collaborated for years, and yeah, that could be a very interesting thing to do. I could report from the ground. Hopefully, it wouldn't be too boring, but it'd be fantastic to maybe have a chat with some of the people who I feel have been almost online mentors for me in relation to helping shape my ideas of how to move forward in these kind of tricky circumstances. And I'm sure your audience would be very interested to maybe see some of these people on the ground. And again, the way I kind of like to do things is to try and have more of a chat as opposed to do that kind of formal stuff. So I'd like to see these people in the flesh and check them out and see how real they are and how human they are. I mean, I actually have met Max before in the Gold Coast before we left for Australia, and I just had this lovely, genuine feeling from that man, and I've got nothing but respect for him. It'd be nice to catch up with some of these other people that I've seen online, and just see how real they are. And yeah, just to share some of that stuff with EarthHeroes and get it on my channels, that could be awesome. So why don't we try and book something like that in? I'll take my recording equipment, and I'll be like the, I don't know, Cannes CNN. Dare I say that?
I love it. I love it. It's so good. So good, man. I mean, if you guys are tuning into this chat and you really love this conversation, you're excited to hear Dennis's journey heading to the Anarchapulco conference and meeting with these thought leaders and inspiring change makers of our time, what I recommend, go to Telegram right now, go to Awakening in Health, become a member of the group at Awakening in Health, become a member of the group at EarthHeroes. That way you're going to stay up to date with these videos as we release them. Go to the YouTube channel, search again Awakening in Health and EarthHeroes TV. Just go and click and subscribe. to this video, give us a thumbs up. Let us know in the comments if you actually really want to stay informed, stay updated, particularly with what is happening on the ground when Dennis gets over there, to be a part of this conference, be a part of this gathering of the hearts and the minds of these people who are there standing up, speaking up, and working towards bringing more people together in a positive way. So highly recommend you guys do that. It is free to join Telegram and YouTube and stay up to date. And then of course we do have a membership on EarthHeroes TV. I highly recommend to come and join the membership, where you get more access to unlimited videos, uncensored. It's really important in today's day and age that we realize that there is a tremendous push, again, from the top down for a particular narrative, a story that they want to be told, but there seems to be all these firing and wiring of new neurological pathways from the support of nature, the support of plant medicines, the support of the people that are offering to humanity at this time a new pathway, a new journey. And that looks like one, finding that courage and that will and that bravery that Dennis is exemplifying here by going on this expedition that is within every single one of us. And that's the exciting thing, and that's the empowering thing to remember for each of us to take away from this message of this conversation today. And Dennis, I'm really excited to support you on this journey and hear more on the ground as you arrive and as you travel. And is there any other last notes you'd like to share with those tuning in?
Yeah. So I think I was talking to you about this before, but it seems to be that there's a lot of things converging at the same time, which is always nice. But I've been working on a health project for over 2 years now, and that is just finally coming to fruition. So I've just got another meeting with somebody who's helping with the web development side of stuff, and it looks like. So essentially, it's just a course split up into 3 parts. It's fairly intensive. It starts off quite light. It gets really serious in the middle, and it really gets to nuts and bolts about health at the end. And I guess it just takes people through a journey of. I want people to the knowledge I have is transferable, and I guess what I can bring to the party is just shortcutting people to get straight to, I guess, not having to go down all those blind rabbit holes in relation to knowledge about their health. So I basically, just from my work over the decades in the mainstream system and getting fairly disillusioned and looking at alternatives, I put this course together that essentially takes people from an A to Z of how your body works, how it functions. The next part is more psychology based about how to make change and what that looks like. And then the final part is opening those doors to some of the modalities and treatments that people just haven't heard of or that are put down by the mainstream society. So if anybody wanted to have a look at that, again, supports my journey in trying to get over to places like Mexico and I guess collect knowledge and information, it'd be awesome if they gave me a message on Telegram. I watch the messages on the Awakening and Health channel. And if people did want to inquire, more than happy to talk to them. And just especially if you have health problems, chronic health, anxiety, depression, if you're on medications, this is the kind of thing we do. We help people, we guide them through a journey of getting away from the mainstream pharmaceutical model.
Amazing, Dennis. That's fantastic to hear, man, the work you've been doing currently, and really excited for this new adventure for you. So stay up to date, guys. Stay tuned in. Make sure that you follow the links in the description to stay up to date with Dennis's current projects. And thanks so much for joining me this morning, Dennis. It's great to catch up. Great to see your smiling face and hear all the exciting journeys for 2023.
Fantastic, mate. I appreciate your time as always.
Sounds good. Chat to you soon.